Hello and welcome to Onions and Flagons. Today, Patrick can't be with us. He got into a duel with a wizard and got polymorphed into a sheep. He's currently grazing in the garden outside, but we're hoping to get him back in for the next episode, but no promises. Today we have a guest, Owen.
Hi, how's it going? I'm Owen. I've been in many of Cornell's campaigns. My favourite and preferred DM.
Oh, don't flatter me. Oh, flatter me more.
Oh, okay. You're great DM. Beautiful DM.
Today it's going to be more of a layback sort of thing where we're just going to chat about some of the stories that we've had playing together for the past, 4 or 5 years?
I go probably closer to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just... probably 5.
Yeah. And that noise in the background is my dog being restless in her bed.
You
right, Hilda?
The emotional support for today's episode is the sponsor.
So we've got a little list of things we want to talk about. So what is the pun sword? Because I don't remember this.
The pun sword, it was the... So during our campaigns, like anytime there's like dialogue,
Yeah.
normally try to keep it serious, but it's always like the stupidest puns of everything, or like mocking like an NPC's name.
Yeah.
The usual. But you then, because I kept making puns, gave me the sword
Yeah.
that would do extra damage when you mentioned a pun.
Yeah, I
and
think I
then
remember this.
as soon as you gave it to me, I completely forgot what a pun was, how to make them, or that the sword had any bonus for using a pun.
Yeah, I think I remember this where it was like...
It was during the Manticore.
Yeah, in the Valley of the Manticore, it's this little like OSR sort of like magazine sort of little booklet, and I backed it on Kickstarter and I got it, and it was really cool module. It was this like sort of like desert wasteland in a valley with lots of little like dungeons to explore and a sort of central settlement, and then the party went through a process where they were trying to investigate the water supply was cut off to the city, not the city, the town, the little town, and they went up to this dungeon to investigate it, and they ended up fixing the water supply, and in that dungeon there was a magical sword that I changed to being a pun sword just to add fun and flavor, but instead of like it was, as you said, like it was. There was the pun sword, and because you were doing a lot of genuine puns in the past couple of sessions, so I thought it would be funny to do like a pun sword. Hilda, just sit down.
She gets so excited.
We
about
can throw her out if she's making too much noise. But and then you just completely forgot what a pun was.
Oh, under pressure, just all kind of a pun goes.
It was like huzzah! It was just
I'm
like,
going to stab you.
Yeah. It was just
instead
quips.
of like
It was
you might feel a prick.
Yeah.
Even that's not.
No.
Still can't do it.
Unless you're describing yourself as a prick.
Yep. That would have been right. That would have been right for fucking up the news source.
Yes.
I think that was probably one of my favourite campaigns, the Manticore, because you had like your sort of home area
Yeah.
to operate out of, because me and Ada, I don't know if you mentioned Ada before, would do a lot of like the campaigns together. Me and her we were like the travelling salesman.
Yeah.
The erotic literature salesman.
Or as you called it, cliterature.
Cliterature, of course. Sorry, it was on the tip of my tongue there, I forgot one.
Yeah, and then you had all these like you both came up with lots of names of different like types of erotic literature that you were selling, and they were all like puns. But it was really funny because you were coming up with some really funny puns for these like books. But then when it came to combat, you just forgot what a pun was.
I hadn't had time to write the book or anything. It was just off the cuff. It wasn't there. That was we're meeting our wares and addressing the man who was a friend to no one.
Yes. So the book has this character who's sort of like the sheriff or something like that.
Like a guard of it.
Yeah, he's sort of town guard. And like basically one of the few pieces of information that you're given to describe this character is that he is friend to no one. And I just sort of took that and ran with it, where I was like, oh, this is going to be like this is going to be his only like character trait, where in every situation, in every context, he just reiterated that he was friends to no one.
No, any of the missions he gave us to go and help the townspeople, just still not his friend. No other time to tell. Don't even know if he had a name.
Yeah. And then that was we were playing Basic Fantasy at the time, the system. Which is one of my favorite OSR systems. It's very simple and it's very sort of just pick up and go.
Because I think we were still, even though it was probably the 4th maybe biggest campaign we played, it was still me being new to it.
Yeah.
Because my experience of D&D was just, it started as playing online with friends like over lockdown as like a way to keep in touch.
Yeah.
And then whenever I told Ada about it, and then Ada told me about you, and then started playing in person. Then
Yeah.
I started doing all the level 0, the dungeon grinds,
Yeah, we played a lot of Dungeon Crawl Classics was the name of the system. It's got a really fun thing called a funnel, which is a level 0 funnel where you're given 4 level 0 characters and you're put into a very deadly sort of meat grindery dungeon. And basically every attack that the opponents do will just kill one of your characters. And so you sort of hope that one of them will survive, so that then you'll continue on playing them. It's a really interesting sort of setup because it's all you're sort of like your characters are more disposable.
Yep.
And you're sort of
and that they were.
Yeah. and like it just sort of gives a different perspective because instead of like perfectly designing your own character, you're picking their stats, you're like working out what should I do here, what should I do there. It's basically just luck of the draw. You roll we used an online generator to generate the characters.
Not the names though. The names were very unique, and it took a lot of time to think of them because I think of the 4 guys I had to start with, we had Nicolas Cage, obviously, no relation. Kickless Nage.
Yeah.
Bongley Bingley.
Yes.
Bingley Bongley.
Yeah.
None of them related, just all unique names. They're in the book, they're in the handbook, they're original names.
Oh yes, very, very classical human names.
Yeah, they're average, especially around here. I mean, I can't remember which 2 it was, but they ended up sacrificing themselves by clotheslining the monster back into the lava from which he came from. I think the only surviving character I had from that was the goose, who was a pet who came from the inventory. And just to tell me I don't want to know about the lore of the story, but give me more about the dynamics and the stats of this goose. Can I send it in the battle for me? I think we ended up putting like a candle on its head, so it was a constant source of light. That made it through to like 3 campaigns and was the death of a character. And
yeah, I like, to be honest, that like we're gonna start jumping back and forth between different stories, but like that one that little adventure was called Sailors of the Starless Sea, which if you're gonna run a level 0 funnel, I would recommend that one. It's the most popular Dungeon Crawl Classics adventure, and I think, was it you that said you'd spoken to someone who had actually played it?
I don't think Connor had looked at it, but Connor hadn't ran it.
Okay. Yeah, I think you had mentioned, you described the campaign, and then someone said, "Oh, I played that." Like, basically, if you've played Dungeon Crawl Classics, you probably played Sailors of the Starless Sea, and the whole idea is it's this like underground. Well, first off, it's a castle, and then you go into the dungeon below, and there's a lot of like murals in the wall, and it's really, so it tells this like story. Not that you cared about that, but it did have a story.
That's right.
And it was sort of like, it was that idea of like, you know, as time passes, different factions and different parties and different races will sort of inhabit it. My standout, I have 2 standouts from that adventure. There was the one you just described where in the final battle you just like Red Rover send over Bingley Bongley, and you just sort of like clotheslined this like enemy and threw him down the hole at the top of a ziggurat into like lava, and I was like, well, I guess we're over. I guess that's the campaign, guys.
Sorry if there was a big final speech or anything that monsster had, but
And the second one was the most deadly encounter you guys had during the Sailors of the Starless Sea was just climbing up a wall.
I was about to mention that when I forgot. When I forgot that not thieves or rangers, what do you call them? Rogues. They can just climb up the wall. Yeah. But then the ones that weren't just going like, well, if we throw the rope, and then I think they fell like a couple of times. They're just trying to escape.
And they have like D6 hit points at level 0. So it's like you fall 10 feet, you take D6 damage, and it's just like it killed like 3 or 4 characters. And then
between the 2 of us, that wasn't how I lost all of them.
And then there was that other thing where we just had this major setback where like half the party died at this wall, climbing this wall. And then we decided there was this little hole in the ground, and you wanted to like lower down a character into it, and it went down like 200 feet, and somehow that character survived. I don't understand how. I guess it was just they were all working together, like all pulling at the same time. It just didn't really make sense for, you know, we had like 7 characters pulling on a rope to pull one person up. Fair enough, you can lift them up.
Had to instill camaraderie after letting them know that they weren't all just cannon fodder against the wall.
Yeah. I do like Dungeon Crawl Classics. I would say I prefer the lower levels of it. I've not played that high of a level. I think the highest level we got to was 4.
It's strange because I think it's definitely a good thing to start a player on, because you're sort of giving them the variety of these classes, and you're not going too in depth in them. but I feel like it would be strange to kind of continue on the higher level for a new player. You would kind of have to go backwards and forwards between that and the main kind of campaign, a single character, and then I think now we could have fun with it. A couple of people at a higher level.
Yeah, I think it is a common problem in what's called OSR, old school role playing, where high levels aren't as well fleshed out.
No.
Other than with wizards and magic, what are called magic users.
Because it's an older system. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a base. Well, Dungeon Crawl Classics is not an older system. It uses the inspiration material from older systems to design that campaign. Is the whole like selling point of it. Whereas something like Basic Fantasy is a rehash of basic D&D, Holmes' basic D&D specifically. So there was like a certain like pre-packaged box adventure. You might have heard of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. There was also Basic Dungeons and Dragons, and Basic Fantasy is a take on basic D&D. But Dungeon Crawl Classics, and I think RPG, role-playing, old school role-playing more generally, there is that very classic problem. It's called exponential wizards and linear fighters, where fighters get like progressively more powerful, but wizards get exponentially more powerful.
Oh, it's just like a quick takeoff after like level 5 or something.
After a certain level, the spells become a lot more powerful, and that is just a problem with old school role playing in general, I would say. So it makes for really good like low level, like maybe 3 or 4 shots or short little campaigns. But as far as like long, what are called big damn quest adventures that are common with 5th edition, like we're currently playing Icewind Dale Rime with the Frost Maiden. That is a big damn quest. It's one giant through line where you're progressively getting more powerful, and the threats are also scaling in power level.
It's the most serious I've taken a campaign because like the very outline from the outset, Conal was saying like this is so like harsh, so strict. It's very easy to die. Like the setting of it and everything. So the kind of the rules and the steep learning curve of it. Yeah. But there shouldn't really be much of a learning curve when you've been playing D&D this long. It's dangerous.
Icewind Dale Rime with the Frostbane, I've been a part of 3 campaigns of it. One of them as a player and one of them as a DM. The one as a player, we died in a TPK at level 2, where we followed this quest line that you didn't follow up on. It was one of the Icewind Dale quests where, do you remember there were animals that were becoming awakened? Aye. Well, that was a whole quest line that you just never really followed. And you sort of more followed the Dwergar plot lines.
I sort of don't know why that line took this. I think we kind of went between like the strategies of that storyline and like what levels is up to go from. Yeah.
But there was a final battle against this druid who was awakening these animals, and there were various different quests around Icewind Dale about awakened animals. And I was playing as a Bladesinger wizard who was a changeling, and that was my secret. So in the start of Icewind Dale, you're all given secrets. One that you definitely know about is Matto can speak Yeti because he was raised by Yetis.
Yeah.
But the character Matto, in my one, I made this character who was like an elven bladesinger wizard, which is sort of this Gish type character. So it's a spellcaster and a swordman. And my random secret was that I was a changeling, so I had to come up with an entire story about how a changeling snuck into and pretended to be an elf so that he could find this like blade singing treatment.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so like blade singing is like in the Forgotten Realms, which is where Icewind Dale is. It is only taught to elves and like Eladrin and wood elves and high elves and the different types of elves. So I had to come up with a reason in lore as to how I was able to be trained to be a blade singer. So that was that. How you find Icewind Dale so far?
I'm enjoying it. It's consistent. I mean, I know we've had our sort of setbacks with we started with 5 people and we're down to 3 now, and it's only getting a harder and harder level. That's not me out of breath with excitement, although I am excited. That's how
the dog
closer again. I like it. It's the most I've had to think about a character, and it's nice that I need to keep reminding myself I'm a paladin and what they can actually do, and not just treat them like a fighter.
Yeah,
there is spells and all to it, because it's like most of my D&D characters have just been like sort of rogues and fighting things, because anytime I start to get into spells, that's not like a good sign that character's going to die straight away. So it's like a whole lot of effort just be like, that was done for nothing, so stuck with like fighters or rogues and that.
Yeah.
But this paladin is kind of, I think it was kind of like a recommended role. Sort of like we needed like a balance of the party because we've got a giant, not a cleric.
Yeah, we have a cleric. Yeah.
Yeah, cleric. So
as a cleric, we had a barbarian. What was Ada playing? She only played for like 2 sessions, didn't she? Or
okay, she might have went. Did we have 2 wizards? Because Seamus was a
wizard. I don't think it was. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that's getting that there. Finally, looking deeper into the paladin because knowing that we're going to need like a heavy hitter and only fighting will do so much. Because anytime I've been fighting, it's going like, oh well, this person has like a magic that just deflects kind of that attack. But no, I'm enjoying it. Just sort of doing the more reading and investing, leveling up. Trying very much to stick to an alignment rather than just going for whatever's funniest because it's a good way to get yourself killed, and again trying so hard to stay alive.
If I had to describe you as a player, I would say you're chaotic stupid.
Yeah.
you're just sort of like,
you know how to flatter me.
You're sort of chaos for the sake of chaos. You just like doing weird stuff.
But there's funny weird stuff. Yeah. The having ketamine as a currency, and
we should probably go back to that actually. So we were talking about the Valley of the Manticore. And there was this salesman who in the book was just like a spice merchant, and his son was had disappeared, and you were asked to sort of investigate it, and obviously it turns out that the Manticore had like stolen him, and there was a whole like process, and it was really interesting the way the book presented it. To be honest, it was a few years ago. I don't really remember it very well, but this guy was a spice merchant, and I was like, you know, it'd be funny if he was just like a drug dealer. I didn't like plan this. I just decided it in the moment, and I was like, yeah, he sells ketamine.
That's what spice means. It's not Cajun spice, not anything.
You sort of have to like tailor the campaign to the players, and I knew you two would love that, so we just sort of went with it. When you showed up with literature salesman, I was like, okay, this is not going to be a serious campaign. Let me like lean into the goofiness.
You have to wean us off our silliness. Because that was the save. So he like sent us on the quest too, and we were like asking for some supplies or something from him.
Yeah.
And he tried to overcharge us, and we're like, man, we're going out to find your son's free. Do you want to at least try and help us? Oh, that's right.
And that happened because I, as a DM, forgot that this guy, like, they were just pointing this out, and I was like, well, that is my mistake as a DM. You're right. He would be giving you stuff for free because you're going out to find his son.
Yeah.
And that was the first time you guys hired hirelings. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And then they all died. Almost all of them died.
Almost all of them died because we're kind of wondering what way to divide the gold.
Yeah.
Between, because there was the lair that we took one day, and it was like leopard tigery thing, tigery things.
Yeah, there was a tiger, and there was also a roper. If you remember that. Ropers are really cool monsters, but to be honest, it was a bit overpowered for the level.
Oh, because it was in the pit, so we just kept sending it right.
Yeah.
Well, I got ensnared though, and it was just kind of like having to send my men as fodder then.
Yeah.
Because Ada kept sending my head, and I was going, no, I'll lead the charge. I'll bloody die first.
And then when you got back, they just like put a carte blanche. You guys are not allowed to hire us anymore.
No, that's fair. Of what was left, but it was the bridge on the way over.
Oh yeah,
the troll.
The troll. There was just a bridge, and there was no encounter for it, so I was like, "It's a bridge. I'm putting the troll there." And then you guys tried to like bargain with ketamine, and you got like a.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, but he kept upping the price or something so far. Our whole payment was just straight to ketamine. The bags, the voice and all. You got any more ketamine? Come on,
Ned. You 3 bags of ketamine, please.
It was a treat at first, and then just the poor man's addiction. Just left under his bridge.
As time went on, he just became, trolls. They're really good at regenerating, so he needs to add more and more so that he can get the same hit.
We're just being really good friends to him, the enablers that we were.
Yeah, it was a fun little module.
First encounter of a slime, that was.
Oh, really?
Because I tried to attack that with the pun sword, and that was, you're going, say something, say a pun. I was going, who let the dogs out? The struggle.
Yeah, the pun sword was fun. The next thing I have on my list is dying in the pincer of a big crab thing.
Yeah.
So that was a chul.
A chul?
Chuul. Chul.
Speaking of chul, I mean chewed on.
You mean chewed by the dog?
Yeah. 'Cause what was that? That wasn't the turtle one. I had finally decided I was going to invest in a bard for a campaign, and I was going to be like a turtle because for some reason in my head that was close to a beetle. So, so I made him sound like one of the Beatles. And Tim, the turtle. Still not the best name for a turtle though.
Oh yeah, so this episode's very chaotic. So I ran Ghosts of Saltmarsh. It was a really fun campaign, but it ended up I considered it my worst campaign. Although I've talked to the people who played in it and they really enjoyed it. But we did this one shot where it was like an abandoned ship out at sea, and they'd like investigate it. And there was one of this guy who was just like, I just handed them my character sheets, and they just like came up with a name, and he's like, "My name's Muscle." I was like, all right. And then he got into a fight with basically like a leviathan, like a giant octopus sort of thing that was attacking the ship as they were investigating it, and he dropped all his weapons and he just started punching this like giant tentacle monster. And I was like, right, well, okay. And I just let him do what he wanted to. But then the rest of the party started getting away on their like little evacuation boats. And the ship started going down. He's like, wait, what about me? I was like, you're fucking dead, dude. Like...
Was that the same campaign, the other person who had a turtle person, their name for it?
Yeah, I was about to get to that, yeah. So he made a second character who was also a Goliath barbarian, but he was called Muscle Jr. And it was the same character, but allegedly it was his son. And then that character died. And then he was like, I want to play a dragon. And I was like, listen, man, I don't trust you to play an actual dragon. Like, I have had in my head this idea that if I have a player who I really trust, I can let them play like a gold dragon who's like polymorphed into a human. And he's just sort of like going along adventuring just to like fuck with people. Yeah. And I've had that idea in my head for a while, and I thought about it, and I was like, no, you're too chaotic of a player, because you would just be like, all right, you're fighting spiders, I'm a dragon now. You know, you would have like revealed it too soon. But he came up with this idea. He's like, I want to play a dragon. I was like, no. He said, I want to play like something like animalistic. And I was like, what about a turtle? And he was like, yes. And he came down,
next step down,
and he brought this character sheet and he presented it to me, and I was like, this is the funniest name I've ever heard. He was playing a turtle named Michelle. Michelle.
So angry I didn't think of it myself. Tim for turtle.
Yeah, like Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign was a lot of fun. But the problem is, it makes a lot of us, because it's a rehashing of a lot of old sort of Hilda. Any more of that noise, I'm going to throw you out. All right.
The look on her face, you understood.
Stay. Good girl. The whole campaign is a collection of old D&D modules that are sort of put together. They're all sort of nautical themed, and the problem we had was the first like dungeon was this like allegedly haunted little mansion sort of sitting out on this like cliff edge, and the whole idea is that this group of pirates who are using it as a staging ground, and they've used the rumors that it's haunted to keep people away. So they came across all these pirates who were smuggling weapons, and the book just assumes, oh, they're pirates, let's kill them. It gives rules for if you want to go to their ship and investigate. But no, they just decided to befriend the pirates. And they were like, yeah, let's side with the pirates. And I was like, okay, let me like think about this. So all of the progression, don't want to spoil this. Spoiler alert, skip forward 3 minutes if you don't want spoilers for Ghost of Saltmarsh. So the pirates are actually smuggling arms for lizard folk. And the lizard folk are arming themselves because there's another race of people called Sahalgwin, which are kind of like shark people, who have like been attacking them and like forced them to displace from their location.
Right.
And because the party just befriended the pirates, they found out about this. So all of the content from like level 1 to level 5 was just null and void. The whole secret was just revealed.
They just speedrun it.
So I had to come up with my own homebrew adventure. So I came up with this like story about this like coven of hags that were on this island, and then I made the island a Zalaptan, which is like a giant earth elemental turtle. Have you ever watched Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, I thought you were thinking more like what do you call the fantasy writer, Terry Pratchett? I thought you were gonna be like the turtles like on top of the elephants.
Oh no. Turtles All the Way Down. I've heard that, but I haven't actually read it.
Avatar, sorry, I have.
Yeah, so they have these like giant turtles, and they there's like an island on top of them, and that's what the Zlatan are. And I made this whole like a story arc where I went ham on this one. I like went really hard. It was really chaotic, not a lot of sense made, but there was this like lawful good guy who was like evil, and it was funny how okay. That's a story for another day. But it is possible to make lawful good people evil.
Yeah.
And it's possible to make chaotic evil people good.
I'm sure I've switched between. I feel like I've been forced to in this campaign.
Okay, so my idea was that this guy was a preserver, and he wanted to preserve cultures in like stasis. So he was trying to do this for good reasons. He was like preserving cultures, but he was forcing people to be technologically disadvantaged because they were stuck in time, so they could never innovate, they could never move forward positively.
But like Brainiac?
Sorry?
But like Brainiac, there's like a Brainiac's like a Superman
okay.
villain, and like captures like cities or parts of like cities in like small jars, and it's something like that.
Okay. Yeah, something like that. And there was a whole plot line with one of the characters wanted to play a droid, and I was like, oh, they're normally evil, and she was like, ooh, evil character. I was like, do you want to secretly be against the party? And she was like, yes. So we had this like big reveal where she was revealed to be working for like the Sahagwin, and there was like a big showdown where the party was really like not sure what they wanted to do. It was fun. It was chaotic. I put a lot of work in, but like I was like my Skiff Jammer campaign, my player Paula, she played in that campaign. It was when I was in Manchester at uni. And the players really enjoyed it. They really got into it. But like in retrospect, I view it as my worst campaign because I put too much time into it, and I should have just said, no, you can't befriend the pirates, because like that was the crux of the issue that made me forced to like homebrew an entire campaign. Like I was pretty new to DMing at the time. I'd only been DMing for like it was like my second big campaign, and I like I put too much effort in, and it became too chaotic. Basically, it was.
Would you do something like that again now, but a bit more lax?
Or
would you just rather completely homebrew something if you're gonna...
Yeah, like I've just finishing the writing the adventure that's going to continue on from Skiff Jammer. So on my channel I have a series called Skiff Jammer, which was a series of about a dozen or so episodes following this like Spelljammer world, which was having it was building up to this like big race called the Skiff Jammer, where they race skiffs around this planet called Thorix. And that was all homebrew. Well, for the most part, it was homebrew. There was like one dungeon that I stole from somewhere because I just really liked it. But it was for the most part homebrew. And then my players said, well, we had a lot of fun, but we want to continue on this long term. So I started writing it maybe a year and a half ago, and I just finished it like two weeks ago. I've been working on and off. Like obviously life happens, and I run a lot of D&D, so I only put like a little bit of time into it every week or whatever. But I've just finished writing it. It's a level 9 to 16 adventure. Right. And it's going to be uploaded to my channel eventually. But the whole, I don't want to spoil it. It's a really fun little adventure. My friend Adelaide has agreed to draw maps for it. I've drawn like 30 or 40 maps, like dungeons and stuff for it. Most of the actual dungeons I've been making myself using an online tool called Dungeon Scroll, but the actual city maps I'm getting her to draw because I couldn't find a good software for that, and I was really happy with the work she did for Skiff Jammer, so hopefully she gets back to me about that. But yeah, I don't even remember why I was talking about Skiff Jammer. Oh yeah, because Ghost of Saltmarsh. Yeah, homebrew is fun, but mostly I run pre-published adventures and I tweak them to my liking. I've tried homebrew, but I find that I'm not very good at forcing people in the right direction.
Don't know. I feel like I'm trying to think of any times that you've been like trying to force us in a direction, but I've never really felt that you've sort of, as much as there's a plan and a structure to it, you very much let us lead. Yeah,
I'm a go with the flow guy most of the time, but there is the overarching story. I'm not sure. I think I'm getting better as time went on. I hope after like I don't know, like 7 or 8 years of DMing that I would eventually get good at it.
Oh, you definitely are. I mean, I probably wouldn't have still been into D&D if I hadn't had you in person.
Yeah.
As like a Dungeons and Dragons, because like, it's grand doing it online and all that, but
Yeah.
when we're online, like the people I'm playing with are very casual, dude.
Yeah.
And Connor has two kind of styles of like DMing. Like one would be more like yours, but if he's online and depending on the group he's with, it's very improv. It's very like more charisma led rather than like the actual story. Like the, you know, if people aren't enjoying this, but if this is funny, then I'll go with like the funny route.
Yeah.
And sort of the ones in that group are much the same because it's the funnier stuff that keeps them in the loop because we'd be so sporadic at it.
Yeah.
Be so in between weeks, but it's having one in person and having your style of it. You're very structured. I know you've had like a mixture of people's experiences and all that there. And
Yeah.
I've been in some ones that have had more experience, less experience. Most of the time I've been the less experienced one. But no, I found your styles kept me going anyway, kept me more interested in it. You definitely put your effort and your time into it.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the points you wanted to talk about was D&D online versus in person. So like to me, the best thing about online is that you can get really nice maps.
Yeah.
And moving around maps is a lot easier if you're using a virtual tabletop. So I mostly use Roll20. Guess how many hours I have on Roll20?
Oh. Can it be in the thousands? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it in the thousands?
Yes.
Like 13,000.
No, like 4,000.
Oh, right.
That's still a lot.
I know. I was going to say,
It's still a lot.
Don't know what was on my
It's just under 4,000. But I've spent a lot of time on Roll20, and there are some adventures that I don't know how you could run it if it wasn't online. Like I ran a Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, which is a mega dungeon. It's like literally 23 floors of like sprawling dungeons. And the maps are huge. Like I have a little dry erase map that I use for small maps when I'm playing in person. I do not know how you could do it in person.
Just imagine someone like using like the 3-dimensional, like the floors just all the way up to the ceiling. And be all, here's another one. Like you lift it up so you can slide it in the bottom. Just like people on magic tables.
Yeah, and Dungeons and Mad Mage is it's an interesting adventure. I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend buying it and taking aspects of it out and putting it in your own thing, because it basically throws the entire monster manual at you. The entire pretty much every monster that's in the monster manual is in Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
It's very grindy. I suppose the dungeon kind of...
It's just a big dungeon crawl, just a huge dungeon crawl basically. There's a lot of like social and there's like factions and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in every floor. Like my favorite part was there was this like automaton, this like construct who was like threatening to use powerful magic on the party if they try to pass him. But the truth is he was just like really dumb and he didn't have any magic, but he thought that he was magical. And he was like waving his hands around and he was like, oh, stand back or I'll use my powerful magic.
This guy sounds heavy.
Yeah, I don't even know if that was like my creation or if that was in the book, but that's one of the few takeaways I have from it. I had this like a online group and I was just like, do you want just like a dungeon crawl or do you want like something more thematic? And they were like, yeah, just give us some dungeons. And then after like a month or two, they were like, yeah, we've had enough dungeons.
Too much dungeons, give us some dragons.
Yeah, Patrick played in that actually. He played a druid. He plays a lot of druids. He played a druid in that campaign who was like really good at melee for some reason, which is not you wouldn't expect. He had all these like shillelagh and all these spells. He would like stack up all of his abilities. It was really cool. But yeah, Dungeons of the Mad Mage I liked, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you wanted to do it in person, I think the only way you could do it is if everyone sat around with laptops.
I had a kind of plot in the chart because I think Finton kind of hybrided it whenever he done his, because he would have like the two screens and his screen is DMing off like his laptop, and then the big screen for us would have had the Roll20 on it, which you would have needed for the scale of the characters that we became in it. Yeah.
It was a level 15 campaign. That was a fun campaign.
It was I felt bad for so it was like a hard campaign to come on day as a beginner.
Oh yeah, that was true. It was Patrick's sister, you mean? Or Patrick?
Patrick's sister and I can't mind his name there. It was
Maddie.
I was going like, is that his character name or his actual name? Because I haven't seen him since.
Yeah.
Because he was asking a lot about it, and then I sort of second guessed myself to it, the higher levels, because I think even level 15 would be the highest I've ever gotten a character.
Right.
To. like I don't think I've ever gotten a character actually to that level, except for like Connor's like first one where we all like we're getting like the big buffs every so often.
Yeah.
Just to fight with bigger monsters for the fun of it. But it's your party size and like what you have would heavily be an influence on that because, I mean, even if our online ones, because like there's ones in like England, Scotland, and here's like all scattered, but even have the amount of people in that at one table, you would still rather do it online too for that benefit of it, because it's always good to quick, rather than flicking through the book or passing the book between people, you just go online. Here's the reference. Here's that, and I like as much as I like physically having things that stay in my head better. It's fun having things like the Hero Forge. Because you could make that physically, but the money of that and all that there, it's just kind of go like, here's the fella designed in 3D, or just drew online, just like keep that in your head as a person. Yeah. But I think you have a better laugh in person.
Yeah, because there's not that like delay.
No. And
you can sort of like bounce off each other, and
it's definitely a better social element of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is what I enjoy about it.
Yeah, it's one of the things I liked about D&D, especially during lockdown, is I played a lot of D&D during lockdown. I was like running D&D like 3 or 4 times a week and playing another time as well.
That just made me think of your t-shirt, you run D&D.
Yeah, I have a run D&D as in run DMC t-shirt. I don't know where that is actually. I think I grew out of it. I got fat over lockdown. But anyway.
Didn't we all?
So what was I talking about?
That was just what we were saying about online versus
online. Yeah, I like both. I like having a mixture of both. I'm currently running every Monday online. That's my Skiff Jammer group, but we're running something else. We're running Waterdeep Dragon Heist at the moment, which is the third time I've ran it. I think third time I've ran it. It's a really fun campaign. It's a bit confusing sometimes, even when it breaks it down for you as the DM, because it's a lot of like layers to it. Where it's like this person invade, then this person. It's like, okay, how do I explain this?
Into your history lessons as well.
Yeah, it's like there was this person who was friends of a guy called Volo Tharmgadarm, Volo Guide to Monsters. I'm sure you've heard of it. Volo's Guide to Monsters, and he had a friend who went missing. So you went to the pub to investigate it, and then you find his friend. You find out that his friend was. Him and his friend were both captured because they looked like nobles and they were trying to like extort them for money basically, and then that was like it might have been like the Xanathar guild, and then there was a different guild that took over the warehouse that they were kept in and brought the they brought one of the players, one of the characters to an underground dungeon, and they left one of them in a broom cupboard, I think. And then you meet up with the one in the broom cupboard and you bring them down to the underground dungeon, and then you eventually fight all these like Xanathar guild people, and then it introduces all these NPCs. It's very confusing, and that's just the first adventure. That's just the first leg of the first adventure. Yeah. I like it in that it's okay. So it's good that there's some complexity to it, but it's a little bit too complex because it's marketed sort of at like it's low level, so it's level 1 to 5.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like marketed at beginner players, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for beginner players. If you wanted to play D&D as a beginner, I would recommend the starter set, the essentials kit, or the Stormwreck Isle starter set. I've ran or played all of those, and they're all pretty good. But Waterdeep Dragon Heist is quite complex. I would actually say it's one of the more complex sort of stories. So I don't necessarily know if I'd recommend it for new players.
Just when you're saying about Skiff Jammer and then the Kevin characters who decide to go for the evil thing, the secrecy, I think every DM gets tempted. They have like one, one player betrayed the party. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering how often that goes right, because I know I just remember that it didn't go right when you asked me to do it.
Yeah, so in the first episode of Skiff Jammer, which went unrecorded because I was recording it on my really poor laptop that was quite out of date, and I wasn't able to run the recording, and I had an entire like breakdown with all the different like what I wanted, the webcams, and I wanted a view of the map, and I was like, oh, I'll do it, and I paid someone on Fiverr to make me this like layout, and I like set everything up, and I was like, all right, let's go. And as soon as I hit record, I just everyone sounded, and I sounded to them robot-y.
Yeah.
Like I was like and it just didn't work out. So the first episode went unaired, and then the second episode was up for like a day because it had loads of audio issues. There was like a lot of feedback and a lot of like Echo. So the second episode is unlisted on my channel. I may eventually re-add it because it's nice to at least have that, even if it's in poor quality. And then the Restless Gift Jammer episodes mostly went without hitch, except for one of the episodes where OBS crashed on me and didn't tell me. So I had to do a wrap up of it. I think in retrospect, I would like to do maybe a YouTube short or something, just recapping what happened in the episode, so that you can sort of catch up easy.
At the speed, just yeah.
But yeah, the Skiff Jammer episode, the first battle was quite fun. It was like you could tell that I got inspired by the Manticore thing because there was a village that had its water supply cut off. And it was a bit different though. They went up to this. Maybe you want to explain. You went up. Do you remember it?
Can't remember it. I only remember how
you went up to a dam, and they were using the dam to hydroelectrically power their like welding equipment and their machinery to fix a spell jamming ship.
Right.
And it was designed for like halfling sized people, like gnomes and halflings, but it was actually for goblins. It was for kobolds.
Kobolds.
And they went in, they explored it, they got in a big fight. There was a kobold scale sorcerer and a kobold inventor. Kobold inventor I've talked about in, I think, the previous podcast episode with Patrick, where it's this like it's got a magic bag where it just throws random shit at you.
Pocket sand.
Basically, yeah. I can pull it up. I can go over it again.
We'll provide graphics for the viewers.
No, it's got this really cool thing where it's got a bag of tricks, and it pulls out like a jar of rot grubs, or it throws like acid at you, or kobold inventor.
Could you hide an R player in it?
Good question. I'm not sure. It's an NPC, so it's not really a player thing, but.
Pocket kobold.
Go get him. Kobold inventor. If he rolls an 8, he pulls out another kobold inventor out of the bag, and if he rolls an 8, he pulls out another kobold inventor.
Pot of greed, which allows me to summon another kobold.
And then I cast another pot of greed, which allows me to draw 2 cards from my library.
That's not how it works. Do Yogi. Do be how it works.
Yeah, it was fun, and then. They fought against those, and it was fine. And then they got against a gelatinous cube, which, to be fair, is a reasonable monster to fight at level 1 if you didn't already have a combat. Yeah. So they kept cutting it and like piercing it, which causes it to like split into smaller and smaller cubes. And then those kept like attacking, and we had like 2 player deaths. Was it
mine and I think somebody else managed to survive. I definitely died.
Yeah, I think it was you and Marta that died. I think, I'm not sure. But yeah, do you want to tell the story about how you were meant to be secretly evil?
I was supposed to be like the big bad, because like what was the thing about the wings? Like one wing is like a damaged.
Yeah. So I have this player race, or NPC race as well, that I created for the campaign, which was the Azzy, which should Magic the Gathering players can probably put together that Azzy is short for Eldrazi. And basically the idea was that in the same way that you have like you have tieflings, which have got like demon blood in them or devil blood, and you've got like Aasimar who have celestial blood in them, there were Azzy who had like far realm blood, so like aboleths and beholders and mind flayers. And I had this whole idea with where Owen was meant to be like the destined one, where he had like one, like, what's it called, vestigial. They had one vestigial wing that was like hidden underneath his clothes, and there was going to be this other person who he was going to fuse with to become the big bad of the campaign, but he died in the first combat. So I had to completely rewire it, and I convinced Marta to play an Azzy, and I, instead of forcing her to be the big bad, I offered her the chance to fuse with the big bad, but then she didn't, and they all fought against the big bad. And then they had this whole process where I don't remember if I actually did it through messages or through recording, but Marta basically she was a warlock, a great old one warlock, and she asked her patron, well, can you let me sacrifice myself to bring back the Azzy that were sacrificed for the ritual? And so she died, and all the other Azzy were brought back to life.
I came back?
You didn't come back. It was the people who were sacrificed for the ritual. Not all Azzy ever.
Not the one who was just straight up evil.
No.
He was supposed to be the baddie.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's probably your longest running one now, is it? the Skiffjammer campaign itself,
Uh,
or has it been a different campaign?
it's a different campaign now. That is my longest running like set of campaigns. Is my online Monday group. I've been basically running that since lockdown started. I think I ran Curse of Strahd for them. Great campaign. I want to run that again.
I've done that. That was. What are we doing now? So Caitlin's running like the same. Caitlin's in the same online group that me and Connor are in, but it's her running it currently. I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me. I'm not thinking about it. But Curse of Strahd was the one just before
Okay.
that we done, and that was good. I know it ended very differently than like yours. I think whatever way we took. Ended up beating Strahd away. We didn't die, surprisingly. And not even die in like the way that I've kind of died at the start of Icewind Dale, like just having to be resurrected a couple of times after not knowing what a paladin was. But I've been enjoying that. I've enjoyed Curse of Strahd. I'd happily do it again too. It's a good solid one.
Yeah, I really like Curse of Strahd. We had in retrospect, I wish I would have recorded the final episode because the final episode was so fucking good. We set aside like a Saturday and we did like a big proper campaign, and we had this. So did you go to the big dungeon up in the mountains where there's all these like options to make pacts with like otherworldly entities?
I think it's that when someone betrayed them. I can't remember. I joined Strahd late, so unless they'd done that early.
No, it would have been late on the campaign. It's the second last dungeon. It's like up you like fight a rock on the way up, like a big bird. You don't remember?
No.
All right. Well, anyway, one of my players made the pact to become basically like Strahd. He made this pact where he would kill one of his allies to become the new ruler of Barovia once they killed Strahd.
Strahd had made offers for us to join him, but not like that. Just like
no, this is not joining Strahd. This is replacing Strahd.
Oh right, okay.
So they, and then one of my players made an agreement with one of my other players where she said, "Listen, I'll sacrifice myself if you rule Barovia," and so they both, she died and then the other guy became a vampire after they killed Strahd, and they had before they killed Strahd, they had this thing where, what's her name? What's Strahd's girlfriend's name? The girl. Anyway, whatever. The girl who Strahd is like lusting after. She threw herself from the cliffs at Castle Ravenloft, and then the party fought. They fought Argynvost as a Dracolich. Do you remember Argynvost, the Jig Dragon?
I remember a Dracolich, but I don't remember his name.
Okay, yeah. Well, we had that, and then they fought Strahd in like the foretold area. It was like a crypt. It was one of the crypts in the basement of Castle Ravenloft. It's a really cool campaign. Really cool thematics. And if you're doing it, I would recommend doing the tarot reading. I bought the tarot. Could you do that? So
we went wrong with not doing ours consistently enough because like that online group that we have, it's supposed to be every Tuesday, but it's been weeks in between because we didn't do last Tuesday or Tuesday before that too. So it's whatever you do remember is very good to try and go off the notes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Curse of Strahd's great. I'm looking at our notes. You want to talk about the D&D movie?
I do. I'm really, because I enjoyed the D&D movie because it felt very like, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy meets D&D that sort of way, because that tried and tested, like, you know, bunch of rogues who are all, you know, bad at their job, destined for greatness, and then they all come together like that family sort of way, and it's going like, it's that formula is done to death in so many things, but it's still done really well every time I see it in something, or I just seem to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe that it hadn't been that well promoted.
Yeah.
Like across everywhere, because I was going like, oh, I thought this is, because I mean, I was seeing it everywhere in socials, and then obviously there was a lot of promotion for it here because a lot of it was filmed here, and then the one in ice cream and all Emirates and all, and because it was funny, like genuinely funny, enjoyable. I just couldn't believe that it didn't do that well like across, because it definitely seems like something you could easily do a franchise out of, multiple spin-offs all out there, and it seems like they wanted to, and they might still do it. But
there is talks about a second one, but it didn't do that well in the box office, which is kind of like unfortunate, because I really enjoyed it and I thought it was done quite well, but like I think I'm sort of the target demographic, you know what I mean? And I was seeing advertisements for it everywhere. I thought everyone was seeing it. That's
what I mean. It's just because like we were more inclined to see it anyway, so I don't know how much someone who wasn't already interested in it seen it, and it mustn't have been a lot. Yeah, must have been a lot of it.
And there was lots of like promotional stuff going on. Like there was, I play a game called Magic the Gathering, a card game, and they have this direct-to-consumer thing called Secret Lair, and they came out with magic cards, like unique magic cards featuring the likeness and the name of the five main characters from, I think, 5 or 6 main characters from the movie.
Yeah.
And there's like a Doric card, there's an Eoghan card, there's a Holga card. What was that old white guy? Hugh Grant. He has a card as well. There was like, and it was really cool. You know, there's lots of promotion going on as far as I saw, but I think it was just sort of preaching to the crowd, preaching to the choir, you know.
Because it was even, like you say, it was coming up in like, you know, our D&D groups, and it was coming to Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
But even in other realms it was promoting, it was falling short in. So Hasbro owns like the D&D like license and stuff, and Hasbro has like their different lines of 6-inch scale like figures, like, you know, like Star Wars, Power Rangers, and all that there. But they've had a series called like the D&D Golden Archive, and went out of their way, made unique sculpts and all this here for most of the figures in that, and even like the big deluxe figures, like the oil bear. They made 2 different oil bears, and the, what do you call, like the panther thing, the displacer beast. And there was people from like,
this is just an empty box.
Not again. Felt so light, you know. But when he took away them windowless packages. But even people who are going like, oh, you know, I'm not really into D&D, but because I collect like, you know, this scale or collect these figures, and, you know, not really has, like, I didn't even hear about this. So even in like other overlaps, it was failing. So I don't know, like a film's budget is spread amongst like your promotions and that budget too. So whatever way they didn't allocate it, it's very strange that they didn't spread it across even the relative areas. It
felt like there was a lot of marketing, but not a lot of promotion, if that makes sense.
No, I get that. It's like tie-ins, but you didn't even promote your tie-ins. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, the problem is I'm so biased because I watch a lot of D&D content on YouTube, so I was getting ads for the movie all the time, but then for some reason they were spending lots of ads preaching to the choir, it seems, because I saw the ads loads of times, and I was like, listen, I've already bought my ticket. I'm going.
I kept the ticket. I actually found the ticket when I was riding out the room there a couple of days ago. I don't think I kept this, don't normally.
Yeah, like, it's,
I think there was nearly like a fear that this wasn't going to be successful with the crowd, so they're going like, well, we know this crowd's definitely going to see it, so let's make sure they see it. And then sort of like the fear of spreading out for it. But I think now that it has gotten out, it's so weird the way films make money now. I think it was Matt Damon done this whole part about, you saying back in the day you could afford for a film not to make its money at the box office, and it wouldn't worry so much because you had physical media sales you get caught up, or even from like renting things. But where you have like online streaming, you just don't get that anymore. So if it doesn't make it at the box office, then it just doesn't make it. So it's a strange one to see if it will get the sequel. I should have looked up something before to see if it was going to get it. I hope it does.
I'm just going to
and I hope it does better promotion. Consulting our almighty oracle here.
D&D movie sequel.
Weird cameos in that film too.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't know if I should say it.
It's like a year old. I'm assuming that if you're listening to a D&D podcast and you've made it 53 minutes into it, I'm assuming you've seen Honor Among Thieves.
Well, I mean, this is you know, one of the bigger podcasts out there for this type of thing.
We have
the wide range. You know, someone might not.
I have great appeal. Yeah, I'm definitely not. I lost a subscriber the other day.
We'll find you.
We'll hunt you down. In fact, I have like 87 subscribers, and I used to have 88, and I was like, what?
I'm going to have to double check it wasn't me. Make sure you're definitely subscribed to LSD 420.
It's not LSD 420, it's LSD 20.
LSD 20. Oh, I gave promotion to the wrong channel. You're never going to be invited back on.
According to Chris Pine, there is a quote-unquote really good chance that a Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves sequel will happen.
According to Chris Pine.
This is from when? It doesn't say. Thepopverse.com. It doesn't tell me when. It's on Reddit. Normally Reddit, I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about, or?
What else is in the notes? I feel like I've gone through... Oh, did we go into detail about the pincer or the...
Oh, the shul? No, we just sort of mentioned it.
Yeah.
So we had this... we were doing like a few long run campaigns, and I said, let's just do a short one. So I was doing the Tales from the Yawning Portal, which is like another collection of all D&D modules. And we did this one called The Lost Shrine of Tomoacon, which was this... It's just basically a dungeon crawl, but it's all sort of like Aztec, Inca sort of themed. It was very sort of like... it's like a ziggurat, and there's like levels to it. It's pretty good, as far as I can tell. We didn't make it that far.
I mean, you said you wanted a short one, and By God, it was short.
It was like, we've been playing for an hour and a half. I mean, that's the campaign over.
That's a length of someone, you know.
They had the whole process where they walked along, and then you get railroaded into the basement of the dungeon because you fall through some rocks, and then there's like a few hazards like spikes and poison gas, and then they go into the first like combat where they fight a Chul. Do you want to explain what happened?
So there was like a small thing on a rock that I had fired an arrow at. I was like being an arrow or a sling or something, whatever Tim the Turtle Bard had on him at the time. And I think it was going well just striking it from a distance. And then whatever happened with like Ada's attack, that she had to move closer. And then the monster kind of rose from the lake, like it really like its full self. And we thought like it was just kind of like, you know, it grabs you and attacks you. And then when you try to make your like opportunity of attack, or no, when you try to run away, it has another opportunity to get you. And it has 2 claws, and there's only 2 of us in the combat, so it's like, I've hit it grabs me, I try to run away, it grabs me, I hit it, and it was just like, it was just squeezing you, just crab claws, just like squeeze, 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 dead.
Yeah.
Like no chance of escape. It's like, oh, you got away, it gets you again.
It's like you have to make an action. So it's an attack that grapples.
Yeah.
And it's weird in that it's one of the few monsters that doesn't specify a maximum size when it grapples.
Because you thought it only had like 1 claw or something
at
the start. So
like a lot of monsters, when they have like attacks that grapple, it'll say, oh, it can only do this to medium-sized creatures or smaller. But this one didn't have that restriction. Not that it matters because you're both medium-sized, but it was just weird when I was reading it. They got close to the monster. It attacked and hit twice, and then they were both grappled. And it takes an action to break free. So if you're spending your action to break free, you can't take your action to disengage. Yeah. So as soon as you try to move away, it just like snapped at you again and grappled you again. It was just like attacking, and you guys weren't like doing that much damage to it. It was a CR3 monster, and you were like level 6, but because there was only 2 of you, both of you were grappled at any one time.
Yeah.
So it just like kept pincing, and then it would just kill you.
It was a fun one though up until that. Still not the shit. It's up there with the stupidest deaths. Not thinking I could hit a goblin with my sword. I thought I could hit it if I threw the sword at it. And then that left me without a weapon, and that's just when we got swarmed. That was 1 death. Oh, the ring. I just forgot that the character that just died there now. I only had that character because the character before it died whenever we went into the dungeon. Oh, yeah. And he found like a ring, and you were going like, oh, did you wear that overnight? And I was going like, yeah. But it was like something like it takes poison damage for like every sword that you had. So like just calculating the damage, just like, yeah, you wake up dead.
Yeah. If I remember right, you were playing Tomb of the Serpent Kings.
Yes.
Yeah, that was it's sort of like a instructional like OSR module. It's pretty good. I would recommend it. It's sort of like a teaching module which shows you lots of different things that you should expect in OSR. And yeah, basically my only memory from that is Ada. She went through the book and found all these things and just made a big list of all the stuff she had in her inventory, and one of them was a mirror. And then she fought a basilisk and just made it turn itself into stone. Do you remember this? Yeah. It was a fun little module. Tomb of the Serpent Kings, I think it's called.
I enjoyed that. It'd be fun to do an hour short one sometime. I know we're both busy with like Icewind Dale and that. Like, it's been, you know, pardon the pun, but an icebreaker.
Yeah.
From...
I actually bought a module recently. It's like a horror thing.
Right.
What
system was it again?
5e.
5e.
It's called One for Sorrow. I get a lot of ads on Facebook for D&D modules because I always buy them. I guess I'm just
find our audience.
And it's like it gives you like a big content warning about all the themes, and it's like you should sit down your players and make them understand what's happening. But it's kind of like a cosmic horror, not a cosmic horror, like kind of like a eldritch horror. Yeah, eldritch horror. It's kind of like Curse of Strahd in a way, and it's just like 4 sessions roughly. It might take a bit longer depending on how much you mess around. But I'm going to run this at some point soon.
Today's sponsor.
I mean,
if they want to.
I don't know. I'm too small of a channel to have sponsorship or even to open a Patreon. It's just I've made no money from YouTube. I've spent much more money on it than I've actually made, just for content and for little graphics and stuff. Yeah.
It'll all come back.
Yeah, it'll all come back. You got to spend money, as they say, you spend money to spend more money.
That's big business.
So that's the final thing that you said you wanted to talk about. Anything else you want to close
No.
with, or
Looking forward to how would you rate our progress in Icewind Dale?
you're going surprisingly well. I've this is my third time playing or running, and you've made it the furthest. What are you, level 6 now?
7.
7, level
Oh,
7.
that's all we need to do. Need to go through.
Yeah, level up your
I'll do it online now. Upgrade my spells and that.
yeah, level up your character. But you've just finished Zardrock. You just killed Zardrock Sunblight.
Yep.
And now you're gonna go to
The gods in the sky.
yeah, you're gonna go to
Next quest: kill gods.
you're gonna go to the Rhyme Maiden's home and try to stop her and try to get some magic items. And you can try and stop her if you want, or you can progress with the story. Don't want to spoil too much.
No, sorry.
But yeah,
sorry
so-
if that's as far as anyone else has got too.
Yeah, as I said, I had one party that died at level 2, and I played in one where we died at level 2 or 3, I want to say. So, yeah, you've made it the furthest. And I have been holding back, as you can probably tell.
I am well aware. Well, I mean, our party size is nearly halved, so it was, unless you want the full party to get...
It's notoriously difficult of a campaign, but it's not very well balanced. Like, it is possible for level 1 characters to come up against a CR6 monster.
Oh, the random encounters. Luckily, Chwingas are...
That's not a random encounter, it's one of the dungeons. It's
is it?
the final boss of one of the dungeons, yeah. And there was that time that you guys fought that wizard whose name I'm blanking on, but and she was like threatening you with fire. Do you remember this?
Oh, in the bottom of the dungeon where I like died twice.
Yeah.
Well, down to the death saving throws.
Yeah, death saving throws twice. And she was threatening to cast a fire spell on you, and none of you were listening. So I just had to like quickly look through and be like, what spell can I do that's not fireball? Because fireball is what I was threatening you guys with.
Yeah,
I wasn't explicitly saying it, but I was like, she's gonna cast a powerful fire spell, and then I was like, I know, chromatic orb. So I cast a chromatic orb. So yeah.
That was when we had our higher numbers too.
Yeah. So
it's going well so far. I'm looking forward to it. Just I'll be back Wednesday too.
Yeah. Play on Wednesday.
To
This will probably be uploaded on Thursday because that's normally when I upload these podcasts.
I keep meaning to get back in the drawing, like when you're saying with Fiverr and the way Ada does like the maps and all. I do have something to give you.
Ooh.
It'll be a surprise for Wednesday.
Cool.
Art related. Just don't get your high hopes up for it. It's my first art after a long time.
Okay.
So just petting.
Yeah, we're just petting the dog. Do you want to call it a day there?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thanks for listening. Look forward to being back on again, hopefully, since I've rocked it this time. And
hopefully we will find a cure to Patrick's sheepism.
Oh, he's on his back. We should go flip him before the dogs get him.
Okay, let's go quickly do that. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.